Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody can see me. Let's see if I can.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. All right. With that said, again, I'm Nehemiah, brother Nehemiah, and this is brother Will be reading for me tonight. I ask that y'all continue to keep our brother Mark in y'all prayers as he recovers. And we pray.
And I was just getting ready to ask about him.
Yeah. Let's keep him in prayer. I talked to him. He's coming along. He's progressing pretty good. So, we gonna continue to pray for him and keep him lifted up in prayer. The Lord will be merciful and return him back to us, and he can continue his duties. So, with that said, we can have the first question. First question. State your name. Where you calling from?
Brother John from Rochester, New York.
Okay, Brother John. How you doing, Brother John?
All right. Yeah. Last week I mentioned last week. I don't think you was on. You weren't on last week. But anyway, I was talking with my nephew, and we were talking about the Black history of the Bible. So what I did, he tell me that Jesus never said he was black in the Bible, and so I typed up some stuff, and I told him that we the chosen people of God, the true Israelites, and but he didn't believe it. But I gave him some. I typed up some papers and gave it to him. I studied, and a lot of things I told him. He came. I saw him Sunday, so he told me. He said, yeah, he said, I read your paper. He said, well, you were way off. But he was grinning when he was saying it, because I know when he wrong, he go to laugh, but he won't admit it that he was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to touch on that a little bit.
Okay, a little Black history, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's look at Genesis. Let's go all the way back to Genesis. All the way back to Genesis. We can start with Noah and his sons. Okay, we go all the way back to Genesis. All right. Genesis chapter 6. 1 second, let me get there. Let's see. Okay, yeah, let's go all the way back to instead of Genesis 6, let's go to Genesis 10. Genesis 10, and we could pick it up at let's pick it up at verse 1. Genesis 10 and 1. We'll look at Noah's sons, because we know everybody that's on this earth right now came from one of Noah's 3 sons, because they are the ones that the Lord used to repopulate the whole earth again. Okay, so Genesis 10, and pick it up at verse 1, Brother Will. When you get there, you can go ahead and read.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Okay, go ahead.
Sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, Madai, and Haran, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus.
Okay, so
sons of Gomer.
So now we look as we go through this. These are sons of Japheth. We know this is where the Gentiles come from, right? We know this is where the Gentiles come from. You got the Greeks, you got the Chinese, you got the Iran. You got all them mixed up in here, right? You got all them mixed up in it. So that's the sons of Japheth, right? So now let's go into verse 6. We're gonna look at the sons of Ham. Okay, the sons of Ham. Go ahead and read Genesis 10 and 6. Go ahead when you get there.
And the sons of Ham: Cush, Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan.
Okay, so now, Now when we stop, we could kind of look at this right, and we can stop right here. He said the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Foot. Now keep in mind the sons of Ham. These are all black nations right here. This is where you get all all the nations that are so-called in Africa right now, right? From the sons of Ham. But we're gonna focus on one of them, right? That one son we're gonna focus on, because again, all these are black nations, but we're gonna look at Mizraim, right? We're gonna look at Mizraim. Pick it up at verse 13. Genesis 10 and verse 13. Go ahead.
Mizraim begat Ludum, Anamim, and Lehabim, and Naptuhim, and Phasrasim, and Cassim, out of whom came Philistines.
Now all of these are black nations. You got the Philistines in here. You got, but along with the Philistines, right? You got the Egyptians in here. That's because that's who Mizraim is, right? The Egyptians are Mizraim, right? Which again is one of the sons of is one of the sons of Ham, which is where you get all the black nations from, right? Now we know right off the back. I'm assuming that already. We come from Shem. Shem is where you get the Arabs. You get the so-called Jews, the Edomites, right? And then we come from there too, right? If you read in some of these dictionaries, I can't remember the one right off the top of my head, but it tell you that Ham is the father, or Ham is the progenitor of the black races, but then it goes on to say not the Negro, because we don't come from Ham, right? We come from Shem, right? But see, you have so many people that ties in. Some people try to be slick and say that we are one of the sons of Ham. They try to say that we come from Cush, right? Because he talks about the curse that the Lord had put, the curse that Noah put on his son, right? When he went out there and did the father, looked at his father, whatever he did with his father, and he ended up getting cursed by his father, right? Cursed by Noah. So you have people that try to equate us as being Cush or one of the sons. I'm sorry, Canaan. I'm sorry. They try to say that we are. We come from Canaan. You have some people that try because of course we know we curse. But again, when you read the dictionary, when you look into a dictionary, I don't know if it's Zondervan or what, but it says that we are Ham is the progenitor of the black races, but not the Negro. We come from Shem, like I said earlier. But now we're gonna look at this one particular son of Ham, which is Mizraim, and it says in verse 13, he said, Mizraim begat Ludim and Ananim and Luhabim and Naphtahim, right? So now we know that Moses. Let's look at. We ain't got to go that far. We don't even have to go that far. Go to we're gonna stay here in Genesis, but go to Genesis. We're gonna say Genesis. Go to Genesis chapter. I want to say 30. A second. Because Joseph came up in the house of Pharaoh, right? He was a slave, I say, in the house of Pharaoh. Go to Genesis. Pick it up at verse. We'll go right to the funeral that they had, because we know Joseph. The Lord had made it where he was a slave in Egypt. He went as a slave. He started ruling Egypt. But let's look. We're gonna pick up Genesis chapter 37, and we're gonna skip around a little bit. We're gonna go here a little, there a little. Genesis 37 and pick it up at verse 9. Genesis 37 and verse 9. This is Joseph's dream right here. Go ahead.
And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brother, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisances to me.
Now this is talking about him.
And he told it
This is talking about him ruling in Egypt. His brothers and them was going to eventually come down to Egypt, and they were going to bow down to him. And they eventually did. So now go into Genesis 39 now. Genesis 39, because they got tired of hearing Joseph's dream, and we know how it goes. You know, they end up selling him into slavery, right? So now and so Genesis 39 and pick it up at verse 1 and read.
And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him out of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither.
Right, go ahead.
And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. Right.
So now keep in mind earlier, right? Earlier, keep in mind that we saw Mizraim. We know who Mizraim is. I said he's a progenitor. I'm sorry, he comes from Egypt. Mizraim is Egypt. He's an Egyptian. He's the father, or for that way, that's where you get the Egyptians from, right? So now let's hold your hand there. Hold your hand, because we're gonna go to put a bookmark in 42, because we're gonna go there next, Genesis 42. But go to Genesis 50 now. Genesis 50, because we want to identify Mizraim here, right? We want to identify, because again, Joseph was sold into slavery into Egypt. We're gonna see how difficult it was for everybody to tell Joseph apart. It was difficult. They didn't know. His own brothers didn't even know who he was. And we're gonna go back to that. But I want to throw this in here. Genesis chapter 50 and verse 11, because what's gonna happen is Joseph, he gonna end up running Egypt. He's gonna end up running Egypt, and his father Jacob, he's gonna come down there, but Jacob is gonna die. And they're going to have a funeral for Jacob, right? Genesis chapter 50, and pick it up in verse, we'll go right to Genesis 50 and pick it up verse 1. Genesis 50 and 1, go ahead.
And Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servant, the physician, to embalm his father, and the physicians embalmed Israel.
Go ahead.
And 40 days were fulfilled for him, for so are fulfilled the days of those which are embalmed. And the Egyptians mourned for him 70 days. So now the Egyptians they mourn for Jacob 70. They mourn for him 70. So 70 days they were mourning for Jacob, right? 70 days. Verse 4. When the days of his mourning were past, Joseph spake unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found grace in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Lo, I die, and my grave which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan, there shalt thou bury me.
So now
therefore let me go up.
So now they getting ready to have a funeral for Joseph. Now keep in mind they all mourning here, right? And they go now skip down, go to Genesis 50 and skip down to verse 10, because they went getting ready to take Jacob up to where he asked to be buried at, right? Where he wanted to be where he told him that he made his son Joseph swear. Right, because that's what we just read in verse 5. He said, My father made me swear, saying, Lo, I die, and in my grave, which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan. So he want him to return him back there. So they're going to go back there. So now pick it up in verse 10 and read.
And they came to the threshing floor of Achan, which is beyond Jordan. And there they mourned with great and very sore lamentation. and he made a mourning for his father 7 days.
So they still mourning. This is his funeral. This is Jacob's funeral. So now right here, we're trying to find out who the Egyptians were. Right now, this is Jacob. This is Jacob, and you have Joseph and all his sons there. Right, but then you also have the Egyptians there. Right, the Egyptians there. But watch what they call the Egyptians. Verse 11.
And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning at the floor of Achan, they said, "This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians." Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan. You see what he said? He said, therefore, it is called Abel Mizraim, because they said this is a great mourning of the Egyptians. So now we know who the Egyptians were. The Egyptians are Mizraim. Where do Mizraim come from? They come from Ham, which is, again, the progenitor of the black races, but not the Negro. Right? So you have all of them in there. So now you have people passing by. They couldn't tell a difference between between Joseph, all them Israelites there, between Joseph, who was running Egypt, and all his brothers. They couldn't tell a difference. They couldn't tell a difference at all. As a matter of fact, now let's go back, right? We're going to look at another example of that. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to Genesis 42 now. Because not only did the passers-by have a hard time telling who was who, so they said a great mourning of the Egyptians. Then they say Abel Mizraim, which is one of Ham's sons, which is the Egyptians. His own brother's not going to be able to tell who he. They're not going to be able to tell who he is, because again, everybody there is black. All of them. They all look like each other, right? Genesis 42, and pick it up at verse 1. Genesis 42 and 1. Go ahead. Now when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his son, "Why do you look upon one another?" And he said, "Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die."
Go ahead.
Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with the brethren, for he said, "Lest peradventure mischief befall him."
So now,
Israel came to buy corn.
So now they all on their way going to buy corn. They on their way to Egypt. They're gonna get to Egypt, and they're gonna have to meet their brother there. Now clearly we just pointed out who the Egyptians were. They're Mizraim, right? You follow me so far? You follow me so far, Brother John? Brother John, you still there? Okay, good. Just checking. Just check. But do you follow? You following so far?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. I just wanted to check, make sure. So now we see Jacob's sons. He sent his sons down there, but he didn't want to send Benjamin down there because he remembered what had happened to Joseph. What his brothers basically then lied and said that Joseph got killed, right? So now he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to send his youngest son down there. He said, "Leave him here," right? So now his brothers are on their way down to Egypt, and they're gonna have to go through Joseph because Joseph is running everything at this time. Genesis chapter 42, and pick it up at verse 5. That's good. Genesis 42 and 5.
Sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land, and he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth.
So now they bowing down before they bowing down before Joseph. This Joseph, all Joseph's brothers bowing down, because again, if we were to continue to read earlier, Joseph was telling his dream how the 11 stars made obeisance to him. Now I'm talking about his brothers, right? So now it's happening. His brothers are bowing down, but check out what it's going to say in verse 7. Go ahead, pick up verse 7, bro.
them, but made himself strange unto them,
and
spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan by food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him.
See, they didn't even know Joseph. His own brothers thought he was an Egyptian. His own brothers thought he was an Egyptian because he looked just like him, same color and everything, right? Same color. See, but nowadays, everything that got flopped nowadays. Everything is out of order, and rightfully so, because the Lord got to come back and restore everything, right? But nowadays, the Egyptians look like Arabs and all that. But see, those are not, we know, anybody that read and know history knows that those are not the true Egyptians there in Egypt. They're Egyptians by as far as the land, the name of the land, but they're not the people of the land. Right, just like us, we know there's a people over there in Israel. They're the people that live in the land, but they're not the people of the land. We are the people of the land. We come from that. That's where we descend from, right? So now, Joseph's own brothers didn't even know who he was. So if that was the case, if Joseph's Joseph's brothers didn't know who he was, and he thought they were all Egyptians. Right, and we saw Ham. We saw Ham as the progenitor of the black races, but not the Negro. Again, I got to come up with the dictionary. I can't remember off the top of my head what dictionary that's found in. I don't know if it's Zondervan or what, but again, if we know that Ham, all the black races come from Ham, and Mizraim comes from Ham, right? Mizraim does. So now, if Mizraim comes from Ham, and we know that they mistook all of them at that funeral to be Egyptians, and Mizraim was black, and Joseph and them blended right in. That means Joseph and his brothers had to be black because they couldn't tell who was who. Even in this case, Joseph blended right in with the people of the land, which is the Egyptians. His own brothers didn't even know who he was. So that had to mean that Joseph had to be black. Right, so that's an example. That's one example, and we can go on because we can look at it like, since we know what color the Egyptians are, right, which are black people, we could just put Moses in that same place that Joseph was in. Moses grew up in the house of Pharaoh, right, and Pharaoh during that time when Moses was a little boy, Pharaoh tried to kill all the Hebrew boys during the time of Moses. Right? He tried to kill all the Hebrew boys. So what does that mean? That means that, and Moses came up in Pharaoh's house. That means Moses had to be black. He had to be, right? We can put Jesus in that stead. When the angel told him, well, let's read it. Let's go to I think it's Luke. Let's see. Let's look at give me a second. Because the same way, we notice it's the same way with Jesus. It's the same way that it was with when Jesus was born. And we're gonna read what the angel of the Lord told Mary to do with Jesus. Let's see. Let's look at Matthew. Matthew chapter 2. Matthew 2, and pick it up at verse 1. We're just gonna skip it around a little bit here. Matthew 2 and verse 1. Go ahead.
And again he entered into Capernaum after some days, and there was noise that he was in the house.
Is that on Matthew chapter 2? Matthew chapter 2. Matthew chapter 2, and pick it up verse 1. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born king of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him.
Right, because Herod was a madman, right? And they knew that everybody was scared because they didn't want Herod to start going snapping off. He had killed his brother, right? And married his brother's wife, so he was subject. Herod was subject to do anything, right? But anyway, so now everybody started getting scared. So now skip down to verse because they in search of Jesus, right? The wise men, they were in search of Jesus. We know again it could be been 3, it could have been 5, could have been 1,000, 1,000. But the wise men came to see, came to ask Herod about Jesus, about the star, and they come to worship the king, right? So now skip down to verse 7.
When he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also.
Right, but he don't want to worship Jesus. He want to kill Jesus. He want to put that. He want to close it. He want to close the page and turn the page on Jesus. That's what he wanted to do. But see, the Lord always, has another plan that he ended up so he can protect his servants. Skip down to verse 13 and read.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt. And be thou there until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
So, and verse 14.
When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed in the east.
So why did he say that? How come he ain't tell him to take the child anywhere else? He told him to take the child down to Egypt. He ain't tell him to take him to Greece or any other nation. He said take the child to Egypt. Why he say that? Because Jesus would have blended right in with the Egyptians. Mary, Joseph, the whole family would have blended right in with the Egyptians. That's why he told them that. That's why, and that's also how we know that Jesus couldn't possibly look like the people, look like the one that they try to portray, this white dude, this Gentile with this long, stringy white hair and all that, look like he got a perm. He couldn't look like that. He couldn't look like that. He had to be black, so that way he would have blended in right with the Egyptians. So now if you take this picture, right, the picture that they portray as Jesus now, and you put him right in the middle of all this sea of black people, Herod would have been like, there you go, right there. He would have stuck out like a sore thumb. That baby the white or take it like say that Gerber baby that they have on the Gerber jars, the little white Gerber baby, little Gentile Gerber baby. He would have stuck out like a sore thumb. He would have stuck out because again, he had to blend in with the people of the land, or Herod would have caught him and killed him. That's why he told him to take the child to Egypt. So we know again, Jesus had to look like the people of the land, and the people of the land were black people, right? They had to blend right in with them. And we can go on and on. If you look at Paul, they mistook Paul for an Egyptian, the Apostle Paul, right? So now it's so much in the scriptures you can look at and you can see, but those are the two three examples that I would give. You have Moses. I'm sorry, you had Joseph, you got Moses, and you got Jesus, right? All of them were around Egyptians, and nobody could tell them different. They couldn't tell the difference between an Egyptian and an Israelite. They couldn't, right? So I hope that helped you, brother John.
Oh, yes, it did. It sounded good.
Praise the Lord. Okay, we're gonna take a question offline here. It's a line. It's a question from Sister I think Sister Didi Casey. He said, "Good evening, Brother Nehemiah. I'm learning insulin contains gelatin made from pigs. Being the truth, how do we navigate through this?" Okay. So it said learning that insulin contains gelatin. Well, I would say, you have, because not all, they if you ask about the ingredients of a lot of medications, they have alternatives to that, as far as like other medications that don't contain gelatin, or for that matter, they call them kosher or what have you. I've been in situations where I've gotten some medication before, for blood, for maybe an antibiotic, and they made the mistake and gave me some capsules that they were like gel caps, right? Or the capsule was made out of gelatin, and I know that they had other medications that didn't have a gel capsule, but I had to ask. You can always inquire about that and tell them that it's against, you're allergic to it. You can't, you have a reaction, because you do have a reaction. You just know, hey, that's disgusting. The book says that you shouldn't do it. The Bible says you shouldn't put that. You shouldn't eat swine's flesh. So you can ask for some, inquire about medications that don't contain gelatin. Like you got Edomites around, and they keep the dietary law, and you better know that they not taking nothing that got gelatin to it. They will find, so people will find other alternatives just to appease them. So you can always ask the pharmacy, if there's an alternative. Because like I said, I had that antibiotic, but I knew also that I had it before, that they have a little pink capsule. It's not a capsule, but a pink, well, it's a capsule, but it's a pill. It's a solid pill. It's an antibiotic, but I told the pharmacist, the pharmacy assistant, because she just gave it to, she just put it back, she gave it, and I looked in there, I opened it up and looked at it, and I said, you know what, this has, these capsules are probably made from gelatin. Can you give me one of the pink capsules? And she's like, well, I don't know if we have that. I said, well, can you order them? Because again, if you don't say nothing, they're not gonna say anything. You have to basically ask and let them know, and then they can make arrangements to where you can get medication that don't involve pork. But again, if you ask them, I don't know if you ask them or not, but it would be good to do that, because they have other alternatives, other medication. We pray, for that matter, we pray right now, the Lord be merciful to you, and you'll be able to come off of that, to come off of the insulin that you use. And we pray to the Lord in Jesus' name that He be merciful to you, and you can come off that insulin, But yeah, so like I say, you can ask the pharmacists if they have alternatives, because I'm pretty sure they do, because you have other people that keep the dietary law. If they inquire, and for that matter, they have pharmacies set up Well, they get only. I'm pretty sure up there in Skokie, they probably. Well, I don't know where. I don't know if you. I'm thinking that you. I don't even know where you live, but here in Chicago, in the far suburb, here in Illinois, in the far suburb of Chicago, they have a place called Skokie, and they have a lot of Edomites up there. That's what Edomites are, and those, and they I'm pretty sure they have kosher pharmacists, and that they have pharmaceuticals set up to where they're not, where they're able to keep the dietary law. So let's say I hope that helped you out. What else? Ask a question. Okay, it says doctrine revisionist. How we want to ask a question to be answered. You can basically type your question, and you can type your question on here, just like the sister before you here. When she talked, she asked her question. Let's see. You can type a question, and we also have a phone. We also have a phone line too. As a matter of fact, we're gonna pause. Anybody got a question on the phone line?
This is Robin. I have a question.
Okay.
I'm calling from Macon, Georgia area.
Okay. Hey, sis, how you doing?
In the book, I'm fine. You doing okay, brother?
Yes, I am, sister. Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
So in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse starting at verse 16, all the way down to verse 18, is referring to the mark of the beast and not being able to buy or sell unless you have the mark of the beast on your hand or your forehead.
Okay.
My question is, I wait till you get there.
Go ahead. You can ask. Go ahead.
My question is, does the not being able to buy and sell and for the ones who receive the mark, does that start at the beginning of the tribulation, or does that occur at a time after the tribulation starts?
Okay. Well, just keep in mind you're gonna have three and a half years of great tribulation. But let's pick it up. Let's start. Let's see. Well, let's read that Revelation 13 first, 13 and 16, right? Revelation 13 and 16, and pick it up at verse. We're picking up 13 and pick it up verse 16, Brother Will. Revelation 13 and verse 16. We'll read 16 through 18.
He calls them all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Give his wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Okay, so now he's gonna. So now let's go back a little bit. We're gonna stay in 13. We're gonna stay in Revelation 13 and pick it up at verse. Let me see. 13 and pick it up at verse. Well, we read down to 13 and 1. Go ahead.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
Go ahead.
And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
Okay, so now this is the Roman Empire coming back, right? Go ahead.
And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto
Mm-hmm.
And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who was able to make war with him.
Go ahead.
And they was giving him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemy.
Mm-hmm.
And power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months.
So now he said power was given to him 40 and 2 months. So this is the 3.5 years that we see, right? 42 months. Go ahead.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations.
Okay, so now this is when he said he was making war with the saints. So now he said he gonna start making war with those. You know, hold your hand there. Skip back a little bit. Skip back a little bit to go back, skip back to verse Revelations 12 and pick it up at verse 17. We're gonna read that one verse, then we're gonna go back into 13. So Revelations 12 and 17. Go ahead.
And the dragon was brought with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of his seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
So now this is the saints that he's gonna be making. This is the saints that he's gonna be overcoming, because the saints are those that keep God's commandments, that keep keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus. So now he couldn't get them, because if you read chapter 12, it'll tell you about the 3.5 years again. They mention that again. so the one, and then talking about the woman fleeing into, she gonna flee into the wilderness, right? So right before he stand up, the woman is gonna flee. She's gonna get away, right? Some of them gonna get away. They're gonna be in the wilderness for 3.5 years, and then you're gonna have the dragon here, right? You're gonna have the dragon. He's gonna go back. He's gonna make a war. He's making war with the woman of the sea to keep the commandments. So now, when we go to chapter 13 and verse 1. And start verse 7, he said he now was given to him to make war with the saints and overcome them. So now he's making war. This is doing the 3.5 years now, right? During 3.5 years, he's gonna start making war with the saints. He needs to tell the difference between who's who. Just like Nebuchadnezzar did, right? During the time with Mishael, Hananiah, and Azariah, those Hebrew brothers, right? He wanted to know who was going to worship and who wasn't, right? The one, they knew what the commandment said: thou shalt not don't make no graven images. So they didn't bow down. So everybody was able to tell who was who, because the ones that didn't know about the Most High, right? That didn't know about keeping the commandments, or for that matter, didn't fear God, they bowed down. But the ones that feared him, hey, they stayed up. They didn't go for the okie doke, and they were willing to go through the fire for that. Right? They were willing to die for that matter. So now he said he was able to, in verse 7 he said, and it was given to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all the kindreds, tongues, and nations. Verse 8, Brother Will.
And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world.
Go ahead.
If any man have an ear, let him hear.
Go ahead.
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
So
here is the patient.
Go ahead. You finish it up. Go finish it up, bro.
Here is the patience in the face of the saints.
So now let's put a bookmark there. Go back to Matthew now, Matthew 24. Because again, this is like right around the beginning of Great Tribulation, right? Because he's gonna be starved. I mean, you ain't gonna be able to buy, sell nothing. You know, he's gonna be killing the saints, but he got to know who's gonna worship and who's not, right? Matthew 24. Matthew 24, and pick it up. Matthew 24, and pick it up at verse 15. Matthew 24 and 15.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso
So now it's gonna be like I said, like I mentioned earlier, it's the same. It's gonna be the same way, right? Because he mentioned Daniel the prophet, Daniel the prophet, and if we go back to Daniel, we know it's gonna be. As a matter of fact, well, we might as well go back to Daniel. Let's go to Daniel. Daniel. Because again, like we know that it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the same. As a matter of fact, look at this. Daniel 11. Daniel 11. Daniel 11, and pick it up. Pick it up at let me see. Daniel 11, and pick it up at verse 31. Daniel 11 and verse 31. Go ahead.
And arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination and make it better.
Right, now this is what he's talking about, spoken of about Daniel, right? He's talking about, he mentioned this spoken of about Daniel. So now skip that, keep reading. Pick it up at verse 32.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flattery. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits.
So now you got these people that know the Lord, that's keeping the commandments, the saints, right? That we just read, like we read about that in Revelations. These are the saints. This is during the time of great tribulation right here. Verse 33.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword and by flame, by captivity and by spoil many days.
See, it's always so it's always an example. The Lord always gives you an example of what can happen. Because again, there's nothing new under the sun. Like we read right here, this is during the time too of Antiochus Epiphanes, what he was doing too, right? So and a lot of people would think that was basically this whole chapter is talking about Antiochus Epiphanes. But again, you have the same thing's gonna happen way in Revelation, which hasn't happened yet, right? By the way, that Revelation chapter 12. So now he's going to place the abomination to make it desolate. We see people dying right here. He said in verse 33, he said, and they that understand among the people shall instruct many, and they shall fall by the sword and by flame and by captivity. It's talking about some killing going on here, some persecution, right? Now go back to Revelation chapter 12. Revelation 12, because again, it's the same example again. Revelation 13, and pick it up at verse 7 again. Revelation 12 and 7.
Revelation 13 and 7, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, and tongues, and nations.
Right, now skip down to verse 14 and read.
And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
So now is it like right at the beginning of the Great Tribulation? I don't know exactly if it's like right at the beginning, but I'm pretty sure it's like, it could be in the middle, but but we know it's not going to be at the end. This is like when he says here, he said verse 14, he said, deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the miracles, because again, you got to draw everybody in. First of all, you got to draw everybody in so they start believing them. So I would have to say, yeah, now I think about it, I'll say, yeah, it had to be right around the beginning of Great Tribulation here, right? Because he's going to stand up, and he got to get all the people he got to deceive all the people so he can get them on his side, start believing that he's this great being. He's going to try to proclaim himself as being God. And he got all the people on his side. So verse 14 say he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Then it says, keep reading, bro.
served by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
So now, so now he got them. He got them food, right? So now they gonna make it. So they gotta make this image. Go ahead.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
Okay, now hold your hand there. Go to 2 Thessalonians 9. 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians 2. Let me get there first. Second Thessalonians 2, and pick it up at verse 1, 2 and 1. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 1. Go ahead.
Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand.
Go ahead.
Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first. And that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Right.
We basically getting that because it's the great falling away is going on right now. And don't nobody believe in the Lord no more. You know, I ain't gonna say nobody, but the whole world is upside down right now. You can tell. You can just look around and tell that. So now, you know, they basically deceive, right? You have people that'll go and look at a urine stain on the wall and start gathering around it and worshiping it, right? So now that ain't gonna be no different from. I mean, it's gonna be worse when this dude show up and he calls, you know, he do these miracles or whatever. You know, they gonna really flock to him, right? Because he got to get the number, he got to get his numbers up, right? So he can do what he want to do. And Satan and he gonna be working. Satan gonna be working directly through him, and he's gonna be able to do it too, right? So now he said, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there be a fall away first." Then he says, "And that the man of sin got to be revealed." That's what we read in Revelation. And he says, "Did you read verse 4 already, bro?"
Nope.
Go ahead.
Who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped. So that he as God, set up in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
Skip down to verse 7 and read.
For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way.
Go ahead.
And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all powers and signs and lying wonders. So the Lord's
gonna let him run his course, and people gonna get sucked right in, right? They're gonna get sucked right in because again, he gotta be able to do what he want to do, right? He gotta have the people behind him. He already got Satan behind him. He gonna get his the line is gonna be drawn. Verse 10.
And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Go ahead.
And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie.
So now all this gonna happen. All that's gonna be happening in during great tribulation, right? Because they already waiting for something. They being primed right now. So to that question, I think it's gonna be like right around the beginning, right? Right now, not too far after he stand up, right? Because again, he gotta get them to believe that he the one, right? So now pick it up. So he says, verse 12, he said that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Now let's go back to Revelations now. Revelations chapter 13. Revelations 13. And pick it up at verse pick it up. Pick it up for 13 and 13. Revelation 13 and 13 again, yeah.
And he doeth great wonders till they hit the fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Go ahead.
And deceiveth them that, hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Hold on.
You sound pretty good, bro. You sound fuller right there. Whatever you done did.
Okay. And my Bluetooth went out.
Okay.
Okay. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live.
Go ahead.
And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
So now you're gonna have everybody. You got all these people that believe in this one particular guy, right? He got them to believe now. So now he said he's gonna call as many as would not worship the beast. I mean, that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Verse 16.
And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
So now
no man might buy or sell.
Go, you finish it up. Go ahead, bro.
And no man might buy or sell save he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Right. So now we see first the son of perdition. He got to stand. He got to stand up. Right. He got to proclaim. He got to proclaim himself as being God. That's going. We know that when the abomination desolation stand in the holy place. It said, "Whosoever readeth, let him understand." We saw what was going to happen in Daniel. Right. It's another how you're gonna have people that's doing exploits. Those that have some understanding, they're gonna do exploit and they're gonna fall. Some of them gonna fall. Those are the saints. Right. All that's gonna be doing in 3.5 years, but this is gonna take place. This is gonna have to take place. I believe it's gonna have to take place around the beginning, right? Because you got to get everybody to believe in him, and what he gonna have to do some miracles in order for that to happen, right? Then it says, verse 16, he shall cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark in their hand, in their right hand or in their forehead. So he got to get the people on his side in order for that to carry out, right? But we know that he said, when he gonna place the abomination that make it desolate. I know it's gonna have to be around, like they're gonna do the sacrifice, and then he gonna have to jump in there, and he gonna get them to stop. And when he get them to stop, and he gonna proclaim himself, that's gonna be around. That's gonna be at the beginning of Great Tribulation, right there, right? And it's gonna go on for 3.5 years. And then he gonna have to, in that 3.5 years, and I believe it's gonna be around the beginning. He gonna do this, and all the people are gonna follow him, and they're gonna be receiving that mark in their hand. But by then, the Lord's people, the ones the Lord allows to escape into the wilderness for the 3.5 years, they're gonna escape. But you still gonna have some servants here that ain't gonna go for the okie doke, and they're gonna fall. But to your question, I know we went around a long way, but still, it's good to read some scripture. I believe it's gonna be around the beginning of the Great Tribulation. So I hope that answers your question, Sister Robin. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Praise the Lord.
It was a question that I had heard someone speak about on yesterday, and I never really gave it a thought when that event would occur. I never gave it any thought. You read it in Revelation, it's not listed at the beginning, like where the seals were at and stuff like that. And so when I listened to what the person was talking about, I was like, that's a good question to ask.
Right. Praise the Lord.
Yeah. And so, the way you broke it down and everything, it makes sense. And I mean, and if it does occur at the beginning, and I think it probably would too, because just like you were saying, he's trying to see who is going to be on his side.
Right.
And that maybe is one of the methods that he will use that to say, "Hey, you got to come get my mark now."
Right? Yeah, because he want to know.
Like
Yeah, because he want to know.
He want to know.
Right.
He's not gonna maybe, a year and a half see who's on his side, because it's like he would be wasting time.
Yeah, because again, you're gonna have like it said, like we read in Revelations 12 and 17, he said, talking about the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. And who is that? Those that keep the commandments of God. So he gotta start dealing with them, trying to knock them off immediately. He's gonna be trying to knock them off immediately. So praise the Lord. I'm glad that answered your question, Sister Robin.
Yes.
Praise God. Let's look at it. Praise the Lord, sister. Let's see. Peace, Sister Ramona. Okay. Sister Ramona, she says, I have a question in Luke 6 and 1. Did the disciples sin by stealing corn in the field? Let's look at Luke 6 and 1. Luke 6 and 1. Luke 6 and 1. Luke 6 and pick it up at Luke 6 and pick it up at verse 1. Bro, go ahead and read it when you get there.
And it came to pass on the second Sabbath after the first that he went through the cornfield, and his disciples plucked the ears of corn. And did eat, rubbing them in their hands.
Go ahead.
And certain other Pharisees said unto them, Why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath day? And Jesus answered them, and Jesus answered them, saying, Have ye not read so much as this, what David did when himself was a hungry, and they which were with him? How he went into the house of God, and did take and eat the showbread, and gave also to them that were with him.
Right. So now, so now he said, so he gives you an example here to your question, right? Because you asked it, you're asking, let me see, did the disciples sin by stealing the corn from in the field? So now Jesus gives an example here. He said, let me see. Verse 1 said, "They came to pass on the second Sabbath after the first," which tells us again about the Sabbath. But anyway, that he went through the cornfields, and his disciples plucked the ears of corn and did eat, rubbing them in their hands. And then the Pharisees said unto them, Why do that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath day?" Right? So because they were just tripping on just the fact they was picking corn, but they was picking corn and they was eating it, right? I mean, because we know they could have been talking about, as far as stealing corn, they were just picking corn and they was rubbing their hands so they could eat it. Because again, they was hungry. Is basically what was going on here. Then he said in verse 2, he said, "And certain of the Pharisees said to them, Why do you that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath day?" Because it's the Sabbath, it says that you shouldn't work on the Sabbath. You don't supposed to do no work. So now they were laboring, but then what was they doing? They were eating. Verse 3.
And Jesus answered them and said, Have ye not read so much as this, what David did when himself was a hungry, and they which were with him, how he went into the house of God, and did take and eat the showbread, and gave also to them that were with him, which it is not lawful to eat, but for the priest alone.
So now we talking about them eating. That's how they not talking about, they ain't talking about stealing here. They just talking about eating, because he gives us an example here with David. As a matter of fact, let's read that. Let's look at 1 Samuel. Go to 1 Samuel 21. He's not, because again, it's not. The Pharisees weren't condemning them for stealing the corn. They were picking the corn like they were laboring on the Sabbath. But see, they were actually getting the corn and eating it. And the Pharisees was trying to look fine anything. They threw that at them, right? And then Jesus gave an example of them having need, right? 1 Samuel 21, and I want to maybe let me see, 1 Samuel 21. You know what? 1 Samuel 21. I want to start it. I want to get right into verse 6. We want to read into it. 21 and 1. Just start at verse 1. 21 and 1. 1 Samuel 21 and 1. You can go ahead when you get there, bro.
Then came David to Nob to Ahimelech the priest. And Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? And David said unto Ahimelech the priest, The king hath commanded me a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee. And what I have commanded thee, and I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. Now therefore, what is under thy hand, give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what is there is present.
So now David, we know David is on the run right now, right? David is on the run from Saul, and he got these brothers with him, and they run around, they hide, they they're trying to, David's trying on the run from Saul, and he runs to Abimelech the priest, right? And he asked the priest, he said, Do you have anything that you can give us? Because we hungry, right? He said in verse 2, he said, David said unto Abimelech the priest, The king hath commanded me a business, and saith unto me, Let no man know anything about the business whereabout I send thee. And what have I commanded thee? And I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. Now, therefore, what is in thine hand? Now, David is on. So now the question should be, well, I ain't going to even touch that. But again, in 3, he said, Now, therefore, what is under thine hand? So he said, I'm on business from the king, right? And I need some what you got to eat, because we out here, we hungry. I'm on business, right? And so he said, Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what there is present. So now you're trying to get some food here. This is an example of what we just read in Luke, right? When he was asked about when they was picking the corn. So now David's on the run. Verse 4.
And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under my hand, but there is hollow bread. If the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto him, Of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days.
Right, because they was out there running. They was out there running. They was on the run out there. Go ahead.
And the vessels of the young men are holy. And the bread is in a manner common. Yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the priest gave him hollow bread, but there was no bread there but the showbread that was taken from before the Lord to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away.
Right. So now that's what he had available, right? But again, David is in need. That showbread was there. The priest was like, Well, you can have the showbread here, but it's some stipulations. Hey, you gotta the men had to be kept from women. So they basically not defiled, basically, right? In order for them to take part in that bread, right? But again, they had need. So what happened? David asked him, and David took the bread and he ate. So that's the same. So now go back to Luke now. Go back to Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6, and pick it up. So now pick it up at verse, we're going to read with some understanding now. Pick it up at 6 and 1 again.
And it came to pass on the second Sabbath after the first, that he went through the cornfield, and his disciples plucked the ears of corn and did eat.
Right.
Them in their hands.
So now they getting this cat. They, you know how corn comes. They getting the corn, right? It's probably shucked. They probably shucked it up, shuck it, you know, and they just like, because they're going through the cornfield. They hungry. It's like you going through a apple orchard. You know, you see all these apples around. You like, you might mess around and be like, pluck one and just, you know, hey, you know, because you're hungry. You know, ain't no stores around and nothing like that. They, of course, it's a Sabbath day too, so they're not going. You know, they're not gonna go to no place and buy anything. So now they see the corn, they take the corn, they eat the corn because they're hungry, they have need, right? Verse 2.
And certain other Pharisees said unto them, why do ye that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbath?
So now stop right there. So now it's not ever lawful to sin, like it's not ever lawful to steal, right? So now they ain't asked about why you do that which is unlawful on the Sabbath day. You stealing? No, they picking corn like they working, right? But they have need, so they eating the corn. They picking it up, they eating it, right? That's what they was doing. Verse 3.
And Jesus answering them said, have you not read so much as this what David did when he himself was a hunger, and they which were with him?
See now he says, have you not read so much as this? And we just read it. What David did, where he himself was hungered, right? And they that was with him, right? They on the run. They had need, right? They ate what was there, what was available, basically. Verse 4.
How he went into the house of God and did take and eat showbread, and gave also to them that were with him, which it is not lawful to keep, but for the priest alone.
Right. So now that's what he's talking about. They're not talking about stealing anything, you know. And they, of course, they didn't sin. Hey, they had need. They ate. That's what it was. You know, they had been out there, you know, just preaching and everything, and they walked through. Hey, there's some food out here. You know, it's good. They had need. They plucked the ear corn and ate it. You know, and they ate it. So that's all that was. I would say no. They didn't sin or anything like that. I would say no. Is there a question on the phone line?
I have one, Brother Nehemiah.
Okay, Sister Cheryl.
I just need some understanding of the last part of Isaiah 47. It was a particular verse I was looking at. And I have two different Bibles. The Bible I was reading at is, and I can't remember the verse. I'm looking at my everyday Bible. And see if I can find it again. But it is 47. I just don't know which verse.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what. While you're looking for that, we'll go to an online question, and then we'll come back to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Luke 6. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Israel, servant of Jesus. He said, my question from the book is from the book of Daniel 4:28. Did the king of Babylon go crazy for 7 days? Let's see. 4, Daniel 4. Daniel 4. Daniel 4 and pick it up. Daniel 4 and pick it up at we'll skip around a little bit. It's this in short, just paraphrase. This is when Nebuchadnezzar is gonna have a dream here, right? And Daniel's gonna decipher his dream for him, and it's gonna be something else that goes along with it that's gonna happen to him. But Daniel chapter 4 and pick it up at verse. Let me see. He said Daniel 4 and 28. So tell you what, let's read Daniel 4. Let's go to verse 28. Daniel 4 and 28. Daniel 4 and 28. And we're going to read 28 through 37. Daniel 4, starting verse 28, read 28 through 37. Go ahead, bro.
And this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power?
Okay,
and for the honor of my majesty.
Okay, so go back. So that's what got him. That's what got the you know what? Let's go for. We're gonna fast forward. Then we're gonna come back to that. Daniel 4 and verse and picking up at verse 27. Daniel 4 and 27.
Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thy iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
And this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
The king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power, and for the honor of my majesty?
Right.
While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O king Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it was spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men.
Right.
Give it to whomever he will.
Right.
So the same hour was the thing fulfilled.
You can go ahead, bro.
The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle feathers, and his nails like bird claws. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes in the heavens, and mine understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High, and I praise and honor him that liveth forever. Whose dominion is the everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. Right.
So now what happened was, so now we see what happened was Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and Daniel came and told him what the dream was. He's gonna lift himself up, and basically the Lord was gonna humble him. So that's what happens. So now he spoke these words he spoke these words, basically lifted himself up like, this is me. I did this and I did that. And that he didn't give glory to the Lord, right? He didn't give glory to the Lord for using him, basically, because that's what happened, and that'll happen to anybody. You can lift yourself up, but the Lord had to smack you down a little bit just so you can remember who really has the power, right? And that's what he did here to Nebuchadnezzar. He said, the king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by my might and by my power and for the honor of my majesty. So now he lifted himself up, and then he says, and then he turns around and says, he says in verse 31, he said, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. So now he's gonna depart from him, and then he's gonna end up, he's gonna go out there, and he's gonna be out there with the beast. So now the question was, did the king of Babylon go crazy for 7 days? It wasn't 7 days, it was 7 years, right? He was out there. He was out there for 7 years. Look at let's look at you know what? Let me see something in Genesis real quick. I want to look at let's see I want to say Jacob. I want to see something real quick. I'm just taking a peek real quick and let's see. Look at Genesis. Oh, crap. Look at Genesis. I want to say Genesis 29. You know what? I don't think that'd be a good example. Don't worry about that. Yeah, we ain't gonna look at that because it just gonna say fulfill her week. But you know what? That's fine. Yeah, let's do that. Let's look at Genesis. Genesis chapter 29. Genesis chapter 29. Because again, I'm just trying to. This is like kind of like the lingo that they use. You know, it wasn't what they would say like, you know, just put out. You know, they'll just put it out there like, you know, like 7 years or whatever. But look at this example here. How Jacob is going to be talking him and Laban, and watch what they use here. Pick it up at Genesis 29 and Genesis 29 and pick it up at I don't want to read it all. We're going to pick it up. This is when Jacob and Rachel get together here. Genesis 29 and pick it up at verse 14. Genesis 29 and 14. Go ahead.
And Laban said to him, surely thou art my bone and my flesh, and he abode with them the space of a month.
Uh-huh.
And Laban said unto Jacob, because thou art my brother, shouldest thou therefore serve me for naught?
Uh-huh.
Tell me, what shall my wages be?
Right.
And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored.
Right. So now we know what this is. He's getting ready. He's trying to get him a wife here. Jacob is, right? Go ahead.
And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And Laban said, it is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her.
Go ahead.
And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her.
Go ahead.
And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast.
So now
It came to pass in the evening.
So now we see he says verse 19, he said, Laban said, it's better for me that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man about me. Then Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. He said 7 years, right? He said they said unto him but a few days for the love that he had for her. So now he said, Jacob said unto Laban, verse 21, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. So now he used that days, but we know he's not going. We know he's not going to give Jacob Rachel. He's going to end up giving Laban is going to give Jacob Leah, right? So that he's going to get deceived and all this other stuff, right? And then Laban going to be like, man, Jacob going to be like, man, what you do that for, right? So now verse 26.
And Laban said, it must not be done so in our country to get a younger.
So he should have said that at the beginning. Instead, but he tricked Jacob. But again, the Lord the Lord is in control of everything, because he had, the Lord had to bring out of them a great nation. I mean, the beginning of a great nation, 12 sons, right? So Laban ended up giving Jacob. He ended up giving Jacob Leah, right? So now, what Laban did, hey, the Lord flipped it and did what brought a blessing out of it, basically. Because again, he got the 12 tribes of Israel that came out of here. He meant it for evil, but but the Lord made it good, right? So now he says, Laban said, it must not be done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. Watch this terminology, verse 27.
Fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years.
7 other years. See, but they said a week. He said, fulfill me her week. Was it a week that Jacob worked for Laban? No, it was 7 years. It was 7 years, right? But go ahead.
And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel his daughter to wife also. And Laban gave to Rachel his daughter Bilhah his handmaid to be her maid. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him yet 7 other years.
But that's good. That's good. Let's go to Revelations now. Let's go to Revelations 12. Revelations 12. Because again, was Nebuchadnezzar out there for 7 days? No, he was out there for 7 years. Revelations 12, and pick it up at wait a minute. Revelations, give me a second here. Yes, Revelations 12, and pick it up at verse 14. Here's another example of that. Revelations 12, and pick it up at verse 14. Because we saw this earlier before another question, but look, pay attention to how the scripture mentions here as far as when it's talking about times here. Revelations 12, pick it up at verse 12 and read.
Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time.
I'm sorry, bro. Is that 12 and I say 12 and 14? 12 and 14. Yeah, 12 and 14. My bad. 12 and 14. Yep.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and a half a time from the face of the serpent. You see what he said? He said for a time and times and a half a time, right?
That's 3.5 years, right? A time is 1, times is 2. Then he said and a half a time, which is 3. So that's 3.5 years. So now go back to Daniel. Go back to Daniel 4. Daniel 4. Daniel 4. And pick it back up at what's that? Daniel 4, and pick it back up at around Daniel 4. Pick it back up at pick it back up at 32. Daniel 4 and 32. And let me see. Yeah, Daniel 4 and 32. But hold on for a second before you do that. Yeah, Daniel 4 and 32. That's fine. Go ahead.
And they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will.
So now we see again, when he said 7 times, he meant 7 years, right? It wasn't just like 7 days. It was 7 years, right? Let me see something. Let's see. Let me find something real quick. Let's see if I can find another example here. You know what? We'll stop there. I think that should be good. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let's look at Revelation. Revelations 10. I'm sorry, Revelations 2. Revelations 2, and pick it up at verse 10. We'll read this one right here. Revelations 2 and verse 10. See, they don't think about that. I mean, they don't talk like we might say like 5 years, 10 years, you know. I mean, we can put, they can put years on it too, but in this case, that's the terminology that they used, right? It's like in this case, he's gonna say something here. Revelations 2, and pick it up at verse 10 and read.
Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Right.
So now he said the devil is gonna throw some of you into prison. He said you're gonna be tried, and he said you're gonna be tried. He's gonna throw some of you into prison, and you're gonna be tried, and you're gonna have tribulation 10 days. Did he mean a literal 10 days? I don't think he meant literal 10 days. It's gonna be a long time. He just used that term like this is gonna be 10 days, but it's gonna be more time than that, basically, right? So, even like let's see. Well, that's good. Hopefully that answers your question. Servant of Jesus. Hopefully that answers your question. Sister Cheryl, you found that scripture?
Yes.
Okay. What's the scripture?
It's Isaiah 47 and starting at verse 5.
Okay. Isaiah 47.
I know here, if I'm reading right and getting understanding, he's going back and forth between Israel and the Gentiles. The Chaldeans are Gentiles, correct?
I'm sorry, can you say it again one time?
Aren't the Chaldeans Gentiles?
Yeah. Right. It's talking about Nebuchadnezzar, and right.
Okay. I was just trying to get some understanding of this one particular verse.
Okay, well, let's read it. 40 Isaiah 47 and verse 5. Isaiah 47 and verse 5. Go ahead when you get there, bro.
Sit down silent and get thee in the dark, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to the part down at the bottom. Now, the kingdoms that they're talking about is like the kingdoms of the world or just certain places.
Right. I think this is
certain kingdoms.
Yeah, this is basically talking about talking about the end, if I'm not mistaken. When the Lord returns. Let's see. Pick it up 47 and 1. Start of Isaiah 47 and pick it up in verse 1 and read.
Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
Right, because it's basically talking about like Rome right now, right? He said you ain't gonna be called no more tender and delicate, because like right now, you know, as a matter like you know what, hold your hand there. Hold your hand, let's go to Revelations. Let's go back. We going back and forth in Revelations tonight, I guess. Revelations 12. Let's go back to Revelations 12 again. I think it's 12. Let me find it real quick. Revelations 12 and pick it up at verse 3. Because again, at verse 1 it's talking about the appointed head, a crown of 12 stars. Now this is talking about Israel at verse 1 and 2, right? But then he's gonna give us another example, and he's gonna give us that opposite, which is this other woman, because the Lord compares his people as his bride, his woman. But then he talked about this whore, which is a woman here, right? Revelations 12 and pick it up at verse 3 and read.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head.
So we see here, he said there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, he said there appeared another one in heaven that said, see. Hold on for a second. This is not what I was looking for. Hold on for a second. Hold on. That's not. Wait. Yeah. It is. Hold on for a second.
Chapter 18 or 17.
Yeah. You know exactly what I'm looking for. Yep.
Probably 18.
Yep, that's it. That's perfect. Yep, that's it. So again, we in 12 we talk about the Lord's bride, which he compared to a woman, and then now he's talking about this woman here, right? Revelation 17. Thanks a lot, Brother Will. Revelation 17, pick it up at verse 1 and read.
And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither. I was shown to be the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
Right, he's talking about the great whore here. He's talking about the great whore here, right? And talking about like this woman. He's talking like, but it's not a literal woman, right? Just like we read in Isaiah 47. That's not a literal woman, but it's being compared to a woman, right? Right, because she's sitting delicate, right? Talk about her sitting delicate. He said there came out one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth on many waters. Verse 12. I'm sorry, verse 2.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
Go ahead.
So he carried woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Go ahead.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold, and precious stones, and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication.
You see what he said? So he said this woman, she's arrayed in purple and scarlet. She's delicate. She's decked out, right? He said this woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication, right? Verse 5.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Oh, Babylon. He said mystery, Babylon. He said mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, right? And the abomination of the earth. So now she decked out with all this jewelry and all that, and the kings come up and fornicate with her, and we know what that means. You have that dude that's in Rome, right? And anytime the kings of the earth want something or whatever, because again he work off numbers. They know all these politicians know that he got the numbers behind him, right? He got the numbers behind him to get to say whatever we want to say, and people will go for it, right? So now he says the mystery. This is verse 5. He said, upon her head was written a name, Mystery Babylon, and he said the Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. Now let's go back to Isaiah 47. Isaiah 47, and pick it up at verse 1 and read again. Isaiah 47 and verse 1. Go ahead when you get there.
O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
So now we know. He talking about again, because we just read this woman. She's sitting up and delicate, and she talking about the whore, this Babylon, this whore, right? He said, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Verse 2.
Take the millstones and grind meal. Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the river.
Go ahead.
Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I would take vengeance, and I would not meet thee as a man.
Right. Now he said, now this is the Lord. The Lord say, he said, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, because he gonna come, he gonna tear the systems of this world down, which is Babylon, right? He said, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, that shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance. Then he said, I will not. Did you read that already? He said, I will not meet thee as a man. Why? Because when the Lord come back, he's not going to be no flesh and blood man no more. He's going to be God, right? He's going to meet them as God, right? He's going to be that Lion of the tribe of Judah, right? Ain't going to be he ain't dying no more. He said, I will not meet thee as a man. Verse 4, because that's how, again, this is talking about the future, was what this is talking about. Verse 4.
As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel.
Go ahead.
Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms.
He said, you ain't going to be called no more the Lady of Kingdoms. Why do you say that? Because all the kingdoms got to come to her. She's the whore, right? All these kings got to come to her and do obeisance or whatever the case may be, commit fornication with her and all that, mingle with, mess around with her, all the customs like Christmas, Easter, all this stuff that the whole world is deceived by, they be taking part in what she be doing. So he said, verse 5, he said, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms, right? Verse 6, pick it up verse 6, bro.
I was wroth with my people inheritance, and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy upon the ancient, as thou very heavily laid thy yoke.
See, because again, because basically Israel is all over the world in this system in Babylon. Basically, we slaves again. We back in Babylon again, back in Egypt, back in captivity, right? And we have been basically done in by this system, by the kingdoms of this world, right? That's steeped in worship of the whore, right? Verse 7.
And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever. So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end.
See, because they think this thing gonna go on forever. They think it's gonna go on like this forever. They're gonna keep on doing what they're doing, but that's not gonna be the case. But the answer to your question, this is talking about the future, Sister Cheryl. And when you talk about the daughter of the Babylonians, you know, again, this is talking about like the great whore, basically, right? That sitteth upon many waters. That's what it's talking about. And just, again, it's talking about the future when the Lord returns and He's gonna deal with them. Okay.
Okay.
Did that help you?
Okay. Yes, it did.
Praise the Lord.
I was just wondering about the last part of that verse, the Lady of Kingdoms. The Lady of Kingdoms. So
right.
I figured I'd ask, and knowing that, I was just thinking that as far as governments and stuff.
Right. Like we just read, the whore that sits on many waters, right? And all the kings and then had, you know, all the kings had to commit fornication with her. She's the lady of kingdoms. She sits everywhere, right? It's a whorehouse in all when you look at all these places, that's where, you know, that's where they got, you know, that's where they got these churches, basically. You know, it's funny, like I came up in the hood, you know, in the projects, you know, and we had a big old Catholic church right out there in the projects, you know, where you had nuns walking around, you know, priests, you know, they're the only Gentiles in the hood, you know. So so that's an example like that, but they got them all over the place. So yeah, but that's basically what it's saying. Did you let's see, there's another let's see. Let's see, it says let's see. Doctrine Revisionist, Shalom. I would like to say peace, love, blessing from Florida. I've been watching this congregation for years. Much okay. Praise the Lord, brother. When's the next time y'all will be in? We got a class in Jacksonville, Florida. Again, I would love to catch a live sermon. It's a class in Jacksonville, Florida. I don't Will, you know the address to the, you got the Florida address right off by chance. Let me see. I got it right here. Let's see. Yeah, so like I said, you can visit. It's a class out in Jacksonville. I'll put the address in. That way you could check it out if you're around if you're in the area. While I'm typing this, anybody else got any other questions? Any questions or comments? Questions or comments?
This is Sister Robin. I have another question.
Okay, Sister Robin.
Hello.
Uh-huh.
All right. So we're back in Revelation. My page just turned. Hold on a minute. Revelation 14. Starting at through, well, you don't really have to do 9. You can do from 10 through 11. So 10 through 11. And Revelation 14, 10 through 11. And what it's talking about is for the ones that did, take the mark of the beast, worship the beast and Satan. When it's time for them to get their judgment, it says that, referring to the beast and the image and everything. Anyway, it says he would be tormented by fire and suffer a brimstone before the holy angels and before the Lord, and before the Lamb. And I'm sorry, I'm reading for the reader. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Tell you what. We'll let the reader read, and then you can ask your question. How's that?
Hey,
That's all right.
You just like read. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm sorry,
that's all right. All right, Brother Will, go ahead and read Revelations 14. You can read verse 10 and 11.
Yes. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb.
Okay.
And the smoke of their torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name.
Okay. So
my question is, so for all eternity, because I guess because we haven't, this is a lot, so we haven't seen what what the future is gonna hold. So in my mind, you think of hell because of the way we talk. I've been taught we think it's down below, and I'm not saying it's not, but it's down below, and it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But this seems like that the Lamb and the holy angels, and I don't know if we who have our names in the Lamb Book of Life too, but it seems like they're gonna see these people being tormented forever, and then it talks about the smoke going up forever and ever. It's like the smoke going to be coming out of the earth forever and ever as a sign. Well,
it's gonna be. It's gonna be you're gonna be able to see them getting tormented. As a matter of fact, let's look at Isaiah 66. You know what? Before we go there, let's go to Isaiah 33. Let's look at Isaiah 33. Isaiah 33. Isaiah 33, because the Lord's gonna be throwing people in the fire. See, people don't believe, they don't believe the Lord is gonna be doing that. They done turn the Lord into some cream. Well, they think that they turn the Lord into some cream puff that say, you got a group of people say, well, you just gonna be no more, or you have people just try to sugarcoat hell, say, what kind of God would do that? Hey, it's the God of the Bible, and he's telling you he's gonna do it, like he's gonna tell you, like he's gonna say it here, Isaiah 33, and pick it up at verse 10. Because again, the whole world got to acknowledge this God, that they don't understand that God is dangerous, and he's gonna do everything he says he's gonna do. That is fear in itself, right? That's the prophets. You have the prophets that saw, some of the prophets saw what the Lord's gonna be doing. They said, Lord, let me be asleep, have me in the grave, because it's gonna be a terrible day. It's gonna be terrible, right? But Isaiah 33, and pick it up at verse 10. Isaiah 33 and 10. Go ahead.
Now will I rise, saith the Lord. Now will I be exalted. Now will I lift up myself.
So now he say, now I'm gonna lift up myself. He said, now will I rise, now will I lift up myself. Because again, hey, People didn't understand. They've been basically fooled by their own mindset and by all these false preachers and all this foolishness, into believing that the Lord ain't gonna do what he said he's gonna do. So now the Lord said, he said, now I'm rising. He said, now will I rise, said the Lord. Now will I be exalted. He said, I'm gonna lift myself up. Right? Verse 4. I'm sorry, verse 11. I'm sorry, verse 11.
You shall conceive shame, you shall bring forth stubble. Your breath as fire shall devour you.
Uh-huh.
And the people shall be as the burning of lime, as thorns cut up shall they be burned in the fire.
Now he talking about burning people in the fire here. He talking about burning people in the fire. He talking about throwing people in the fire. He said the people shall be as the burnings of lime. He said, and thorns cut up shall they be burned in the fire. Right? Go ahead, verse 13.
Hear ye that are far off, what I have done, and ye that are near, acknowledge my might.
Uh-huh.
The sinners in Zion are afraid. Filthiness have surprised the hypocrites, who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire, who among us shall dwell with everlasting fire.
You see what he said? He said, hear ye that are far off, what I have done. He said, and ye that are near, he said, acknowledge my might. Right? And this time after he talking about burning people in the fire, they're gonna be as lamb, as lime. Then he said in verse 14, he said, the sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness has surprised the hypocrite. Because again, they don't think the Lord gonna do nothing, but they're gonna be surprised when they see what he's doing here. When they find out that fire is real, he gonna be throwing people in. He said, the sinners of Zion are afraid. Fearfulness has surprised the hypocrite. Right? He said, who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Then he said, who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? He's talking about burning people forever here. He's talking about burning people forever. That's what he's talking about. So it's not, and again, we're not talking about somebody's going to be a little short. No, he's talking about forever here. Look at Isaiah. Now let's look at Isaiah 66. Isaiah 66, and pick it up at verse Isaiah 66, and pick it up at verse 22. Isaiah 66 and verse 22. You can read it when you get there.
For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain.
Go ahead.
It shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, that all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
So now this is when the Lord get back now. This is when the Lord returns to the earth, right? So now this pokes a hole in the belief that the Lord's gonna be up in heaven and he's gonna rapture some people up to heaven. No, the Lord, he's gonna be on this earth. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, right? So now he's going to be on this earth, and everybody's going to have to come see him, right? They're going to have to come and see the Lord, right? He said, verse 23, he said, it shall come to pass from one new moon to another, from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. And we know this is in the future because it is. Verse 24.
And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worms shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched. And they shall be an abhorring unto all flesh.
So now he said they're gonna be an abhorrent to all flesh. So you're gonna come up there, you're gonna see the Lord, and before you leave, he's gonna give you a pardon gift. Now look over there and see those guys over there, because those are gonna be, and we're gonna find out that's the beast of the false prophet that's gonna be in that fire, right? And this is what the Lord's going to, what we reading right here in Isaiah 66, this is when the Lord going to come back. He's going to be on this earth, right? And the beast of the false prophet are going to be the first ones to make it in the fire. So now this right here, what we reading, this is in the future right here. Now let's go to Revelations here. Let's look at Revelations. Revelations. Revelations, let's see. Revelations 20. Let's see. Revelations 19. Revelations 19. Revelations 19, and pick it up at verse 20. Revelations 19 and verse 20. Now this is where it's gonna actually happen at. What we just read real quick. That's gonna be during 1,000 years, right? The Lord's gonna be on earth because that's that 1,000 years the Lord's talking about, and everybody gonna have to come up and see him right there, right? And he's gonna tell them, look over there. But now we're gonna see this. We're gonna see this when this actually happens. 19 and 20. Go ahead.
And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophets that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that have received the mark of the beast, and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone.
Right.
And the remnant was slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Right.
So they say, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had which had received the mark of the beast, and then that worshipped his image. They said they both were cast in a fire, and a cast in a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Right. So, skip down to verse. Go right into 20. Go into 20. So now they are those the beast of the false prophet. That was them that was thrown into the lake of fire. And now we just read about them in Isaiah. So they had been there. So they had been there. When the Lord returned, he gonna put them in the fire first, right? They're gonna make it in there before Satan does, right? And then he says that all the people gonna come up and they're gonna be able to see him. They're gonna see him, and they're gonna be they're gonna be the born of all flesh. They're gonna be like wagging their head, right? But they're gonna be in there for 1,000 years before at the beginning of 1,000 years, they're gonna be up in the fire. When because when the Lord comes, he's gonna take them, change them, they're going right in the fire, and they're gonna be there for 1,000 years, right? Skip down to verse go to 20, go to 20 and pick it up at verse 4 and read.
And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Jesus and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years.
Yeah, they lived and reigned with Christ 1,000 years. Go ahead.
But the rest of the dead lived not again until 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
And like I said, and this is the first resurrection. So now we see again that they were in there for 1,000 years, right? And he said, but the rest of the day lived not again till 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurection. Blessed and holy is he that have part of the first resurrection. For on such the second death have no power, but they shall be priests of God and of Christ, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So that's what so it's gonna be 1,000 years. If they're gonna be in there for 1,000 years, they're gonna be burning, right? So I hope that answers your question, my sister.
Yes, it did, and it's deep to be able to. It's deep that God is going to allow people to see that, to see the consequences of their sin. That's deep.
Yep. So with that said, you know what? We gonna shut it down because I know I got an early morning in the morning. So with that said, Brother Will, we gonna face Jerusalem. We gonna close out. I hope y'all got some understanding in Jesus' name. You know, and may the peace of God rest on all y'all to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay.